We're looking at Uncle Lee Anthony. And one thing that struck many of you, myself as well, why is Lee Anthony using the initials CMA? Who is he referring to here? Now, I know that the initials for Caylee Anthony, Caylee Marie Anthony. First thought, that's where I thought he was going. But then we find out and know that Casey Anthony's initials are Casey Marie Anthony as well. So with that said, I want to re-listen to Lee Anthony using CMA as he spoke at yesterday's public memorial, and we'll take it from there with our experts. And again, we're always taking your calls at 1-877-TEL-HLN. Let's first listen to Uncle Lee Anthony.
CMA, I miss you. I love you. CMA, I am so proud of you. I hope you're proud of me too. I need you to know that I will never forget the promise that I made to you. I will never forget.
Okay, there is again Lee Anthony stating there, I'll never forget the promise I made to you. Is he talking to Caylee or is he talking to his sister Casey, who's in jail? And for one, I'm sure she was watching. So we asked someone who spent some time with the Anthony family, the bounty hunter Leonard Padilla. His theory is he is talking to Casey. Had a chance to talk with Leonard just moments ago. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Casey, that's his... When we were with him, CMA was Casey, Caylee he called by name.
Okay. So what's the message here? Was there any hidden message in what he was trying to say from what you know of him and the family?
You know, I've never really understood Lee. He's the first family member I met, and it was always like he was, you know, it just looked like he seemed like a James Bond type guy, you know. He was always saying things that he didn't mean and meaning things that he didn't say. It was just kind of confusing at the time.
Okay, there again, the bounty hunter Leonard Padilla, who bailed Casey Anthony out of jail at one point, had a chance to spend some time with the family. So he's saying that Lee Anthony was talking to Casey Anthony. Let's introduce our expert panel, reintroducing them. Joining us once again, former prosecutor, criminal defense attorney Mark Eiglarz. Also with us, former FBI investigator, special agent in charge Don Clark, and psychology researcher Cooper Lawrence. All right, Mark, I'll start with you on this one. First off, the significance of if he's talking to Casey. And personally, okay, I'm not surprised he might mention his sister. I think the one part in there where you're like, okay, wait a minute, what is the promise that he's vowed to her? That's the one part where you're like, okay, which leads to, okay, what does he really know? But where are you taking this? First off, if you're Lee Anthony's attorney, what are you doing here? Because you know the questions are coming.
Right. I tell Lee, listen, just stick to I love you, little Caylee. If you want to throw in I miss you, Casey, that's fine. But be very careful not to do or say anything that will cause Prime News to spend more than an hour analyzing every action that you make because you're above the radar. I like my clients below the radar, particularly when his own attorney says that they may be investigating him. And at one point, apparently an arrest was imminent if you listen to his own attorney. Right. So just stay under the radar, be cool, don't throw out these initials that causes everybody to focus on you.
Yeah, he did it. And obviously, I mean, our callers were ringing us off the hook and emailing, what did he mean? They demanded some answers there. Mark, real quick before we run off on that point, what is Lee Anthony's legal status right now? When you talk either immunity or what? They were looking at whether or not he was could be charged with obstruction of justice, right?
Right. I mean, right now, he's as innocent and or guilty of anything as you are or I am, based on what we've been told. We've been told he's not a suspect. That's what we're hearing. But let me tell you something. Never believe anything. You need to act, if I'm his attorney, as if at any moment they could believe that he has done something wrong. So again, don't say anything without getting immunity. Don't do anything that's going to draw any attention. And listen, my only concern about what he says, as long as he's not sending some signal to Casey like, look in the cake for the nail file,
right.
I'm okay with whatever he's shouting out. I think it's much ado about nothing, with all due respect. I don't think it really means anything.
Okay, let's bring in Don Clark, former FBI special agent in charge. All right, Don, you hear the brother at a memorial for little Caylee, and we're could be talking to Casey, vowing to keep a promise. If you're an investigator, are you looking at Lee Anthony a little closer after that?
You bet I am, Mike, and I can tell you got a little bit of an FBI investigative intuition in you as well, because, I mean, what does it mean? And I got to believe that those prosecutors over there with that team of investigators and so forth, they've got to be weighing in on every word, every phrase, every bit of action, because they obviously, I think they have probably a pretty decent case, but they may be far from getting to the end of it, and little tidbits like that, they got to try to talk to him, and if he doesn't talk, you know, that's his right, but I think they've got to go out and make an effort to say, what the heck was this mean? What was this all about?
Yeah. Cooper, you're a psychology researcher. What do you think it means? I mean, why didn't he just say Casey? What's with the CMA stuff? I mean,
well,
where do you think he's coming from with this?
That's a way to distance yourself from somebody and distance yourself from a situation. It's not like he's calling her a little nickname they have for each other, Pumpkin or something. CMA is a way to distance yourself. He's not using a name. And I think, as as your FBI friend was saying there, it does raise a red flag because it's a bizarre way to refer to somebody. So you don't want to say there's nothing there. Could be much ado about nothing, but in case it is something, you do want to be aware of the fact that it is a way to keep an arm's distance between he and the person he's speaking with, and the fact that he's so vague about who it really is is also suspicious.
And not that we're trying to pile on Lee Anthony, but he used the initials. It's raising the questions. It's 3 against 1, Iglarsh, by the way.
But what could it mean, Mike? What's the worst?
The only thing there...
The worst case scenario. Is this
the promise.
Call out to Hamas? What is this?
I'm with you on that. Well, it could mean the promise. What does he know? That's what it leads to. Did he know something? Does he know how little Kaylee died and how her body was disposed of? Some promise? I don't know. Those are the questions that pop up.
I'm with you.
All
That's a possibility.
Don Clark, help me out here. Isn't that the key phrase there, the promise?
That's right. And you know, we don't know what he means by it, but it is different. It's unusual. It's not a way and a manner of speaking to people. So when these types of things come out, that's what good investigation has to do, is pick out the odd things, not the simple ones that make it easy for us, but the ones that are out there, the clues that are out there. And if the investigators just pass this up and just say it doesn't mean anything, then they are not doing their jobs. They've got to take every word and work on it and make their case.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a puzzle piece. And when something doesn't fit, there's your opening. And wham, I think as investigators, Don, you can vouch for this, that's where you try and blast through to get to the truth.
That's right. That's why you're there.
Yeah.
That's why you're there, to pick up on every word and every little bit. You know, and if I was an investigator, a part of that team over there, everybody that spoke yesterday, I would be dissecting everything they said to try to see if we can further solidify our case.
Yeah, okay.
With limited resources, I hope that the investigators are focusing on things like the forensic evidence and, things that can help prove first-degree murder as opposed to a tragic accident.
I don't think you got to worry about that.
Yeah.
I don't think you got to worry about them focusing on the forensics.
I think the forensics is a given. I think we're just examining the openings possibly, maybe not, but you got to still look at it. I know, as Don's saying, you got to dissect it.